I have no silver, no diamonds or gold, but I am far richer by the visions I hold. 'Cause I've seen the mountains and I've seen the sea. I've seen all that beauty and lived a life that was free. When the cool autumn moonlight shines down through the trees, no place under heaven would I rather be, where the wild birds are flying and the caribou roam. Many places I've rambled, but this is my home. And when I am weary and it's time to rest, please take this old body to the place I love best, somewhere on that mountain. Turn my face to the sea and let the wind in the treetops sing me to sleep. 'Cause I've seen those mountains, I've been to the sea, and all of that beauty is like heaven to me, where the wild birds are flying and the caribou roam. Many places I've rambled, but this is my home, where the wild birds are flying and the caribou roam. Many places I've rambled, but this is my home.
Good evening and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight in our stories we have Family History Center, Sand and Sea Opening, MHA Andrew Persons, MHA Dwight Ball. Please stay tuned for these stories after this.
Well, you're wrong.
I'm wrong. You're the one who misrepresented the facts.
Misrepresent the facts? Are you kidding? Your proposal is ridiculous.
You have no right to call anyone.
You are the worst example of politics.
I stand for something.
Flip-flop.
I stand for something.
Flip-flopper, flip-flopper.
Your proposal is ludicrous.
My proposal will go exactly the way I say it will.
My dead body.
I think somebody needs a timeout.
That's the power of one.
I motion that I be issued the timeout And
Wow. Me too.
yeah, for sure, you should get a timeout.
I apologize.
And I motion that I start showing more respect.
Civility. Pass it on.
The power of one.
Would you like to know your family history? Would you like to find out where your roots are? If so, drop by the Burgeo Family History Center, which right now is located in the Burgeo Museum. Brenda Alverson, who has done a lot of research in genealogy, have put this together for the people of Burgeo. I dropped by the museum and had a talk with her. Brenda, the last time I interviewed you was in August of 2009, when you were researching your roots here in Burgeo and taking pictures of the many id stones. So why are you up this time? This time?
Well, I just had such a good time. I just couldn't wait to get back here. For 4 years, we've been dreaming of coming back to Burgeo. And it all kind of began last fall with a conversation that I had with Bill Milburn. He's a volunteer here at the Burgeo Museum. He mentioned to me that oftentimes people will come here, and some from very far away, in search of their roots. And it's hard to know exactly where to direct them. You could say, well, there's the graveyards, or perhaps you can see some parish records, but there's no organized method to really get them started and help them. And so before I even realized what I was saying, I said to him, well, we need to have a family history center right there in the Burgeo Museum to help people, to show them how to get started. And it's mushroomed from there, and here I am.
Oh, very good. So what kind of records and stuff do you have available here at this Burgeo Family History Center?
Well, over the winter months, and you know how it is in the wintertime, it's the best time of the year to do genealogy in those cold winter nights. I decided that I would fill up binders full of information, things that might be really helpful, and examples of early history in the town of Burgeo. So we're all familiar with Joseph Small and his diary, which we have a lovely copy of here in the museum. But this is a typed copy, which I think people will find easier to read and more helpful. And I'm in the process of indexing at the back, so they'll be able to look up names and be able to see that. And then another journal, early missionaries here to Burgeo. Well, this was a minister that was before Reverend Cunningham. Reverend Blackmore and Bishop Field came here as a traveling missionary. He was settled in Hermitage area, and this is like 1839 to 1841. So these are very early journals, and we have all of them, typed out, and it's wonderful to be able to read through those journals and see names. William Marshall is another early Methodist missionary, 1839 to 1842, and the only place you can see his journal, the actual journal, is at the United Archives in St. John's. But we have a transcribed copy here in the library, and people can read that. And wherever he talks about Burgeo, we have a little sign that says that Burgeo is mentioned. But this is wonderful reading. You'll really appreciate those wonderful early missionaries. We also have census records. Did you know that there was a census for Burgeo in 1836 and all those little places around here? And 1845, 57. Unfortunately, they didn't list names in the early ones, but it's still very interesting to see how many people lived here in 1836, and etc. So this is great. Besides that, we have the 1921 census, the original copy right on this computer. I scanned that in Salt Lake City, and so it has the full original copy, and that's really interesting to look at and see your ancestors. Early school records, early church society records, Burgeo voters list, and really helpful things. So I think they'll find just going through these binders, very interesting.
Okay. So what kind of records can people contribute here for their history?
Well, there's a whole bunch of things they can do, and we're really hoping that the success of this center will be based upon those that do contribute. For example, we have 2 binders up here. One is called Gone But Not Forgotten, and it's pictures, older pictures of people that lived in Burgeo, and we can just scan copies. They don't have to contribute their pictures, but if we can just scan their picture, then we can make and do a little thing about them and who they were married to and when they were born. I think people will find that really interesting. It also will preserve those, very historic pictures. So we're hoping to do that, and we can come to their house if it isn't convenient to stop by. This one's called Old Family Bible Records, and if you have an old family Bible, perhaps in an attic or in a closet somewhere, we would love to come by or bring it by, and we can make, this happens to be Maxine Dix, happens to have this family Bible. It's the Forward Dix Bible, and how precious this is. Records, Lambert Forward, born 1809. Now, we would not have a record of that anywhere except for in this family Bible. And that's what happens with many of the records in the first half of the 1850s, as well as all of 1870s, when Reverend Cunningham lost all those records. We have no trace of those people. And so in some cases, the only trace we have will be in family Bibles. That's a great contribution to make.
What if people are interested in learning more about your family tree? What do you have there to help them with that?
I started my own family tree about 1970. I took a genealogy class at university. Started a class and have been hooked ever since. Particularly the last 10 years I've had more time to work on that. But my lineage is, my father was Lewis Crew, my mother is Sybil Matthews, and Sybil Matthews is the sister of Aubrey, Ellen, Nita, Stella, people that I know most of the people in the town are probably familiar with. So as I started adding to my tree, and you know how a tree branches out, well, pretty soon I found that there were Dicks and Andersons and Colliers and Vatchers and Peaks, a whole bunch of other lines, Colliers, lines that tied in with mine. And so I'm up to 4,000 names now. And so I thought, well, that's been a lot of years of research. This is a great opportunity, I felt, to share this with the town of Burgeo. In some cases, I have a program, it's called Roots Magic. They can download this program for free on their computers, and then if they find that their family line ties into mine, either we can print it out, or we can just make a special JetCom that just downloads it right to their computer. I mean, all that research can be shared and they don't have to do a thing. Some people will have already been researching their families. If they've done that, I'm really hoping that they'll share what they've researched, so we can have maybe more binders here in the Durnford family or the Lushman family. It'd be wonderful to see that contribution made, so we can all share.
Okay, perfect. Are there any classes you're going to teach to help people get started?
Well, I think that's the hardest thing, is how do I get started? Mm-hmm. And so when people come into the museum, this is a little brochure, a little pamphlet on how do I start my family tree, a little handout we give them. And on the back is simply their family tree. And this is a good place to get started. Put down what you know, but I'd like to have them bring that. We're going to teach a class and how to get them going. And we need to know if there's an interest. So if you'd either drop by, or you could call Bill Milborn or myself. I'm at Mary Stone's. Then we'll sign you up for the classes. And some people maybe are more advanced, and we've got some interesting classes that'd be fun to teach them. Some really useful websites, and I've got all kinds of websites already posted on the computer. And also how to organize your files, how to organize your paper files, how to organize your digital files, how to do a Google search for genealogy. There's some really good tips that we've learned that we'd love to share. But we need to know there's an interest. And I'd like to start those in August. So tell us now and let us know.
Okay, very good. So what happens to the Burgeo Family History Center when you leave?
Oh, the good part about today's age and technology is that I am just a phone call away. I am just a Skype call away or an email away. But I'm also hoping to eventually have this turned over to the town of Burgeo, where people in Burgeo will volunteer and help carry on this work. Utah's a long ways away, and it's hard to hop back and forth. But if I can train some people, if they let us know who's interested to carry on this work, I can train them, and we hope that they'll be able to carry on. Also, we'd like to be able to have it available all year round. And so we're working on that possibility now, that there'll be somewhere they can go, so that they, in those cold Burgeo winters, they can have a wonderful time working on their research, sitting down and relaxing and going through these journals or going through all these sites that we have on the computer. We're working that out.
Okay, very good. Well, best of luck, Brenda. You never know who you're going to be related to. In Virgil last time, we discovered we were cousins.
That's right. That was the best news I ever had. I love it. Everyone that comes in the door, I ask, who are you and who are your grandparents? And we're probably all related to each other when we go back far enough. And that's just a wonderful family to belong to, the family of Virgil.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
The 19th annual Sand and Sea Festival began on Thursday. Due to the weather, the opening was held in the arena. There, the opening remarks from our mayor, our MHA, and our MP was done. A cake was cut. It was officially opened with the ribbon cutting. More details of the Sand and Sea Festival at a later date. Our MHA, Andrew Parsons, dropped by the studio for a chat. In our studio with us tonight, I have Andrew Parsons, our MHA. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
And welcome back.
Great to be here again.
Oh, so what brings you back this way?
Well, I've been looking to get back down here to Burgeo. Obviously, I haven't been down here since, I guess it was earlier on in the spring here, since the house was closed. And, of course, I'm back for the Sand and Sea Festival now, so it's always a good time to be back anytime. But when you can come down for the festival, it's always a lot of fun and getting to see a lot of people, so I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, that's good. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, it's been a busy spring and a busy beginning of the summer. The House of Assembly closed at the end of May. Just to give people a recap of that, it was a fairly quick session. Last year they kept us in until the end of June, and this year they couldn't wait to get us out past the May 24th weekend. And it was pretty obvious why. After the budget that this government passed, that's the last thing they wanted to be was in the House of Assembly answering questions and having to deal with it. It's been a very rough year for this government with this deficit and the job cuts and the service cuts. And again, we had just a quick shot in the House of Assembly. They got out as quick as they could. As soon as they could pass the budget, they were out of there. There was very little other legislation dealt with, which is one of the main purposes. Okay. But again, we made good use of our time in the House. We asked all the necessary questions. We asked the questions on stuff like justice and health and services, wildlife, everything that we dealt with that disastrous budget. Since the House has been out, though, a lot of times people think that when the House is out, you're on vacation, but it's been anything but. It's been a lot of issues on the go and a lot of travel. I've been out and about in the district. I've been down in Grey River and down in La Poyle. I had to be in St. John's a number of times just to deal with stuff going on in the legislature and to cover off there when we deal with media issues. And in fact, I just actually had a trip to Alberta for a parliamentary meeting, which was my first time going on one of these trips, and it was really amazing to get out there and see parliamentarians and politicians from all over the country and to see what issues they're dealing with. And one of the big bonuses for me on that trip was I got to go to Fort McMurray and to see what's going on out there. And it's, we have so many of our friends and family that are going back and forth, and you hear so much about the place. But to actually get out there and see it and see the oil sands was a real eye-opener for me. So I'm so glad I had that opportunity. But other than that, it's it's been a busy summer. A lot of traveling. Trying to take some time to enjoy at home as well. I got a little fella that's getting bigger every day. Yes. So and we've had a bit of nice weather. So trying to get out with him and to be out and about. But it's always good to get down here as well. I'm hoping that the weather's going to pick up a little bit. It seems like I hope I'm not bringing the fog with me. But no, it's been a busy season so far, I guess you could say. One of the other things actually we dealt with in June month was there was a by-election.
By-election, okay, yeah.
And what happened was everybody knows that with the resignation of Peter Panashaway up in Ottawa, a former colleague of mine, the MHA for Cartwright Land Clare, Yvonne Jones, everybody knows Yvonne. Well, Yvonne resigned and was successful, and she's now the MP for Labrador. So with Yvonne resigning, a couple things happened. Number one, I was very happy to take her position. I'm now the opposition House leader for the official opposition, the Liberals in government, which has meant a lot more work and a lot more responsibility in the House of Assembly, which is great. Anytime you can take on more and make sure that your voice is heard, that is a great opportunity. But the other thing is that we had a seat that we had to keep. That was a good Liberal seat. Yvonne was there for 17 years, so we wanted to keep that. So I did spend a fair amount of time up in Labrador campaigning with our new MHA, Lisa Dempster. Lisa is a native of Labrador. She's lived there all of her life up in Charlottetown. She's been involved with so many different things, whether it's school boards, health boards, employment assistance, you name it. So we all took our time. It was a really good campaign. The NDP had a good candidate up that way. The PCs had a good candidate as well, someone from up that area. But at the end of the day, on June 25th, the people spoke and they elected Lisa Dempster. And so we've retained our status as official opposition. And we've got a new colleague. And it was good to get a female back in the House as well, because with Yvonne resigning, we just had the five of us, all men. So it was nice to have that female perspective. And again, that Labrador perspective. So we really are a well-rounded group. We cover off a lot of different demographics. And Lisa's a real, a dynamic individual. And I'm sure once she gets in that house, people are going to know who Lisa Dempster is really fast. And it's good to have her back on our team. And I think a lot of that speaks to, a lot of people may know there was a poll that came out back in June as well. And that poll tied us for first in the province with the NDP when it comes to popular opinion. So, as a Liberal, when I started off, it was only 2 years ago, we were in third place by a fair bit. Things didn't always look so bright. A lot of people wrote us off. But we worked hard, we spoke out, we worked as a team, and right now we're tied for first, and I'm very confident we're going to form the next government. I really do believe that, and I think that's not only going to be good for this district, I think it's going to be good for the province, and I'm just happy to be a big part of that team. I think it shows that what we're doing is on the right track, and the people are listening, and it's a good time to be a Liberal right now.
Okay. Speaking of the next election, there is a Liberal leadership on the go, is there?
There is. That's one of the things that, stemming back from the last election, in the lead up to 2011, Yvonne had to step down for health reasons. And so we went through a little, very mini leadership of sorts that was won by Kevin Aylward. And so Kevin was our leader up to the election. And unfortunately, Kevin never got elected, and he resigned as the leader of the Liberal Party. Now, what we did after that is, I guess there's two sides. There's the caucus, or elected MHAs, and then there's the party. And what we did was we all decided to ask Dwight Ball to take on both roles, the leader of the caucus and the leader of the opposition, which Dwight did. And Dwight's been a big part of that resurgence that we've made. What happened, I guess, is we knew we were going to have a full-on leadership, official leadership. Dwight so far has been the interim leader. So we are in the middle, it just started, of a leadership convention. The end date for that is November 15th to the 17th. It's going to be in St. John's. But it's a bit of a different leadership than the usual ones that have happened. This one, the type we're doing, has never been done by anybody in the province. It was just done by the federal Liberals. You used to have people would sign up a delegated convention. You'd get as many delegates as you could. You'd get them all to the convention. Everybody vote and go from there. But what we've decided is we're moving into the future here, and we're trying to make it as wide open to as many people as we can. So it's not a delegated convention. It's going to be a convention where anybody can sign up to be a part of the Liberal Party, a member or a supporter, and you're going to be able to vote online or by telephone. It's open to anybody who's age 14 and above, and so we feel that it's going to allow as many people as possible to have their say in who they want to be the leader of the Liberal Party, and in our mind, who's going to be the next premier of this province. I have no doubt that the current government's on the way out. The tide has turned. I think we see it every day. They're more desperate, and they know they're on the way out. We really feel that we're in a position to take that step. We just need to put our permanent leader in place, and this is the process that we're going to do it. So one of the things that I'm doing is signing up people along the way. I guess before I get into that, I'll just talk about, we're very lucky we have a number of candidates running, and people have heard the names. Some names are familiar, some are not. There's Jim Bennett, who's also a colleague of mine in the House of Assembly. Danny Doomrisk, who was an MHA before. Danny's well known across the province. We've got two, I don't know if I'd call them newcomers, but they're not elected officials. There's Kathy Bennett, who's a business person from St. John's, who's well known in the Avalon area, and she's out there getting around now and speaking to people. And we have a gentleman named Paul Antol, who's also a well-known figure in St. John's, business person, long time involvement in the party. He's put his name forward. And I guess the first one who put his name forward, and the person that I'm backing, is Dwight Ball, who is MHA for Humber Valley, and who's been our leader since we were elected. So I am backing Dwight Ball. And so what I'm doing now is, whether you're backing Dwight or backing anybody, we want as many people to get involved as they can. And there's a lot of ways to do that. There, you can get on the website. There's lots of sites. I'm going to be if people want to get involved, they can also contact me. And we're signing as many people up. We have to sign up everybody by September 30th. If you sign up by September 30th, then you get to have a say in who becomes our next leader by casting your vote.
Okay.
So I'm helping Dwight out in that. I think Dwight is the best leader for us, and I'm happy to be a part of his team. So I'll be signing people up throughout the summer while I'm here in town, or anytime we can get as many people signed up. Some people have asked me, they say, well, why are you supporting Dwight?
Dwight, yes.
And there's a lot of reasons. The good news is that we've got a lot of good candidates running. So I'm glad to see that. It's not like when when Miss Dunderdale took over, they basically conspired, put her there, shut everybody else out. They didn't want anybody to have a say. They just put her in place there. We're having it wide open. Any Liberal knows that we've had trouble in the past when we had our leadership over 10 years ago. It was a really divisive contest. We're trying to avoid that. I'm supporting Dwight because anybody who's worked with him knows what he's all about. I mean, his background, he has a strong business background all over the province, whether it be in pharmacy or real estate, you name it. Any investment he's ever made is successful. And to me, that's someone that I want in charge of our province. And the taxpayers' money is someone that's been a success in business. He's got a health background. He was a pharmacist by trade.
Okay.
He's been involved in volunteer work, where it was Ronald McDonald House, you name it, any number of charities he's been involved in, or volunteer groups, to health boards. Someone after my own heart. He's a sports guy. He was very big into the hockey. He was involved with the senior hockey in the province, so I always like that side myself.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like the sports side. He even cheers for Montreal, which I know might get me in trouble. I don't want to get the Leafs fans mad at me. But again, he's a good person, first and foremost. Anybody that talks to him comes out of it with respect for him.
Okay.
But he's also got the best interests of the people in mind. He tells it like it is. He's not one of these people that's over the top and exaggerated. He can be understated. He's a statesman. He's someone that I would be happy to represent us anywhere at all. He listens to what we have to say. Like when we get around the caucus table, it's not like the current government where there's basically a few people that have a say and the rest are shut out. They have no idea what's going on. They have no input. We sit around the table, we all say what's important to us, and he listens, and we act as a team, and he's our captain. And that's the way I think it should be. I know that my perspective, my input, and opinion has some value. But at the end of the day, he's the guy. I mean, when it comes to issues like Muskrat Falls, I think he knows it better than half the crowd in government. I really do. He understands it. He understands the financial side and the technical side.
Okay.
But at the same time, he's compassionate as well. He understands that this province was based on, we have a strong social network. He understands the social component. He understands what people are going through. I mean, he really is a good guy. And so I guess I put this in a meeting the other night, and people were asking the same question. I said, if I had $1 and I needed to protect that dollar and save that dollar, I would trust Dwight Ball to do it. He's that type of person, and that's what we need. When we got a government right now that last year said we were flush with cash, and this year we're broke and cutting people and firing people and cutting programs, we need someone that can actually manage the economy, and that's why I'm putting my trust in him. But again, in order to do that, we had to get supporters signed up. So I'm hoping that people will contact me, and they can check out the website. I've got some information that I'll be getting it up. People can always check my Facebook for it as well.
Okay.
And the good news actually is Dwight's going to be down here. Dwight's going to be down for the Sand the Sea Festival. You couldn't wait to get down here and get around, so I'm hoping people get a chance to meet him and have a chat with him and see what he's all about. So it's really great. But overall, it's a good thing for our party. people are happy and proud to be a Liberal again. We've got a lot of people showing interest, people all over the province that are interested in being, running for us in the next election. So it's a good time right now. Even when you look at the polls are saying that we're doing the right thing, that's an indication. It means you keep listening, but
Yes.
you start working. I don't know if we could work harder. Well, I mean, we're working pretty hard, but you just keep your nose to the grindstone, and hopefully it's going to mean good things. It's only going to be a couple short years.
Yes.
There's going to be another election.
Yes, exactly. So is there any issues affecting Burgeo area you want to talk about too?
Well, there's always issues affecting the entire district and Burgeo and the communities outside. I mean, one thing that it doesn't matter where I am, I hear about it, is the road.
Road, yes.
I guess a couple things. One thing is that no matter where it seems I go in this province, I was just up in Labrador. If you're over at Harbour Breton, if you're down on the East Coast, the roads everywhere are in a terrible state
terrible
right
state,
now.
yes.
And the Burgeo Road is a prime example of that. I wish I could be optimistic, but I'm not right now. I mean, number one, right now, it's the middle of July, and we still don't know our roads plan for the entire province. They still haven't told us what we're doing. And that just goes to show you what kind of government we're dealing with here when they can't get their act. We're halfway into the season. We're losing time. The other thing too is that, I mean, every year it seems like we're going through the struggle of, are we going to get money? Who's going to get paving? And there has to be a better way to budget and to plan and to fund these things. We need to do it, not just a case of, well, what are we going to get this year? And what are we going to get next year? We should know over the course of so many years what we're going to deal with. And it's the same thing again. I was up in Labrador dealing with it. They're going through, half of Labrador is still dealing with the dirt road,
Oh, okay.
right? But you know what? It's the same thing here. We've got a road that's getting old. It needs repairs. It needs,
Yes.
and we that's our lifeline. It's no matter where you are, you've got to get outside for services. We have to travel that road, and it's our money.
Yes.
So I'm hoping to see some forward progress on that. But given that we've had a lot of people lose their jobs and they've cut virtually everything, I'm getting more pessimistic with this government and their plans every day. So I'm going to keep fighting for that. There's a lot of background stuff that goes on. I'm constantly in touch with the minister's office and people in the department to work on that. And so all I would say to people, a lot of people say, well, the road's in a bad state. I say, look, if you've had damage to your vehicle or if you see a bad spot, contact me right away. Get me pictures, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes.
And the more people come to me, the more I'm going to go off to the department with their issues, with pictures of the deplorable state of the road. So that's what I would ask people to do, is let me know, get in touch with me. You can contact me anytime, whether it's by telephone or Facebook or email, and I'll get that out there. When it comes to other issues, it's the same thing. We've got the capital works projects in the town that are, things have been a bit delayed there. There's always, there's so many industries, and when it comes to rural Newfoundland and Labrador, we can work with, and one of them is tourism. And I really think there's more can be done here with that. And we're working on that. But it really is the same old when it comes to, it's the same issues. We're trying to get more here, affordable housing, health care, trying to keep people in their homes, trying to make sure that people have access to health care. And there's a lot of issues that might not be Burgeo-Lapoil centric or related, but they affect us. And one of those big ones is the Cornbrook Hospital.
Yes.
I mean, that affects every one of us. You can't have a baby born on the southwest coast anymore.
No.
We got to go to Cornbrook for that. And that's something people have heard us fight about all the time, particularly Eddie Joyce, who's our new leader of the opposition. They've basically downgraded the plans for the hospital. They've cut out radiation services. They've cut the number of beds in that hospital. And that's not acceptable. This is a promise that they made in 2007, 2011. They just announced more money for it now, but we still haven't seen anything. And the last information I've seen, I don't know if we're going to get in that hospital before 2020. So it's the same old. After so long, you stop believing them. And again, we all heard what Jerome Kennedy, the Minister of Finance, said the other day when it came to their blue book, their promises. Well, it's not really a promise. How can we take anything they say for the paper that their promises were? It's not worth it. It's not worth what was written on. if you're going to put something out there to people, especially during the campaign, you got to live up to that. If you don't, and if it becomes evident that you're not going to live up to it, people are going to remember that. And in this case, it's not a case of not just not performing or doing what they said they would do. They've actually come out and said, well, they weren't promises. They're things we hope to do. Well, that's not good enough. There's things like family caregivers. There's things like the hospital. So we're going to keep fighting for that. That's a big thing for us when it comes to health care. There's a better way to do things. The Premier was only on the Open Line show the other day saying, we spend more per capita than any other province in healthcare. So my question to her is the same as it's always been. Why do we have the worst bang for the buck? Why do we have the worst value? Why do the studies come back and say, yes, you spend the most, you also get the least? We need to do better. We can't afford to keep making those mistakes. So there's a lot of changes we had to make. They're in the process now of everything they're doing is geared towards 2015. You're going to see a change coming now. There's going to be a deficit this year. But you watch, come 2015, the checkbook will be opened again. But I don't think people are going to fall for it this time. People want stability. People don't want one good election year and then 3 years of nothing. People want to know that there's a strong future. We're not even worried about us somewhere. We're worried about our children. We're worried about our grandchildren. We want to know that we're going to have a future here, and we can't just blow that money to keep people in power. We need to make promises, but are promises that we can live up to and sustainable. That's what we need.
Okay, well, very good. Was there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, just I'm happy to be here for the festival. Again, I'm hoping the weather picks up a little bit over the weekend, but I always have a great time when I come down for it. I always enjoy the supper and I enjoy the entertainment, but the thing I like most is like any festival, you get people coming home, and when you get that mix of people that are seeing their family and being home, it's just that feeling, you get that celebration. And you know what, it's a great festival here. I've done my best just through social media. You get pictures of our beach, of our park, and putting that out there and trying to get more people out around the province and around the world to see it. Actually, I had a picture, there's a gentleman in town had a fantastic picture that I took the opportunity to put that on my Facebook, and I'm getting comments from people in Alberta and comments from people in Nova Scotia, and friends that I went to say school with it that don't live here, and see and go, man, that's, wow, what you guys got there is great. So that's what we need. We need more exposure. We need more people to see what we have here, more people to come here, and once they get here, I think they'll keep coming back. It's just getting them here in the first place, because once they see it, and once they see the people, they love it.
Oh, that's perfect.
But it's great to be here again. It's great talking to you, and I'm hoping I can enjoy my time, and people always know that if they see me, to come up and have a yarn, and if they don't see me, it's only easy to get a hold of me anyway.
Yes, exactly. Well, anyway, thank you so much for dropping by and doing this with us, and anytime you're back, you're welcome.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity as always, and look forward to a great weekend.
MHA for Umber Valley, Dwight Ball, also dropped by the studio for a chat. In our studio with us tonight, I have Mr. Dwight Ball, who is the MHA for Umber Valley, and he's also running for the Liberal leadership. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Maxine. Great to be here.
Thanks. Welcome to our studio. So what brings you about this way?
Well, it's, we're into the leadership campaign right now, and one of the things that I've been doing over the summer is going around the province and, of course, meeting with as many people as possible, and because there's a lot of questions about, what's going on in the province right now. There's a lot of questions that people have, on their mind for people like myself who's seeking the Liberal leadership. So that's what I've been doing, and actually I've been doing it now for about 18 months as we've been rebuilding and rejuvenating the Liberal Party. So it's great, and it's great to be here today for the Sand and Sea Festival. It's been I've met a lot of great people. I've heard some fantastic stories. Not my first time to Burgeo. I've been here before, but it is the first time to the Sand and Sea Festival.
Okay, perfect. So what plans have you got for running with the leadership?
Well, we've been busy. I think coming in today, I looked at the odometer on my vehicle, and I'm well over 12,000 kilometers already, which includes a recent by-election that we've had in Cartwright-Lancet-Clare. That was a great win for us as a Liberal Party, and certainly helped us, launch into the leadership campaign right now. So it's really an interesting time for the Liberal Party, and I'm glad to be joined by, of course, our MHA and your MHA, my colleague and friend, and a great supporter. Andrew Parsons is here with me today, and so is Judy Foote, your MP. and Judy and I are good friends, and again, and indeed a great supporter of my Liberal leadership. And so it's great to be here today to share in some of the excitement that's in Burgeo. And even I will say, before I continue here, that the Burgeo broadcasting system itself has been a real success story, and it's one that I've actually followed for quite a number of years.
Okay.
And it seems to me it creates, it's a great example of how we can actually fulfill and meet some of the challenges that we face in communications across the province. So it's really a privilege for me to be here today with you.
Okay, perfect. So what other kind of things that you want to talk about?
Well, you know, I'll talk a little bit about the leadership campaign as itself, and for me, I've worked hard, you know, over the last year and a half in doing my role as part of the team that we have of our Caucus of Six in rebuilding the Liberal Party and putting, what I'm hearing as I've been going around the province is just that people right now are looking for change, and what they're looking for is that they really feel disconnected in terms of the openness, the transparency, and really feel disconnected with government right now. And we've talked about, you know, how we engage with people in the province. And you can only do that if you actually get into the communities where people are. So it's important to me because, you know, when you really talk sincerely with people, one thing that you do always find out is that there's certainly a lot of, they have a lot of ideas to actually solve some of the challenges that we hear about on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I'm getting no matter where I'm going across the province. What's unique about this leadership campaign, we've opened up the Liberal Party. So we, right now, if you're 14 years of age and older, you can actually vote on the next Liberal leader. So that's exciting for us. And it's no charge, and you can be a member or a supporter. It's quite easy. It's all the voting will be done either through telephone or online using the internet, of course. So we've made the party completely open so that we want as many people to be able to participate in the leadership campaign as possible. So signing up supporters for us ends on September the 30th, and we've been very busy doing that in all our communities, and one of the reasons why, of course, we're talking with lots of people today in Burgeo.
Okay, perfect. So when is the election planned for?
The election is actually, once we sign up supporters, as I said, the date will conclude on September the 30th. The party then itself will take about three and a half weeks to actually put the so-called voters list in place. And then we're going to have a 5-day, the voting will be over a 5-day period, which will be in early November.
Okay.
And this will all end with the announcement of the new leader on mid-November in St. John's in this particular case. But it's a fun time. And so it's really a different way of selecting a leader for us in the province. But I think it's a good one. And it gives a lot of people and people in all our communities across the province to be able to take part and have their say in who they believe the next Liberal leader should be.
Okay, that's good. So now if someone wanted to be participant in this, how do they go about signing up?
Yeah, well, what I'm doing is I'm suggesting to people, I have cards that I've dropped off, and I've dropped off a lot in Burgeo today. But you can also sign up just by visiting, you know, my website, which is dwightball.ca, and you can sign up there as a supporter of my campaign. I encourage people to do that, of course. And so it's as simple as that. It's really just a two-step process. It's very simple. And, you know, we've been getting quite a few people already that's been signing up, and it's generated a lot of interest, this leadership campaign has. And we've got some great candidates, and just having the party open is a big piece of it. Okay, very good. Now, you said this is one of the first times you've been down since in a while. So what do you think of our road? That must be an issue that's going to be brought up. Absolutely. You know, when you go around the province, there's no question we have a lot of infrastructure now that is ready for repair. And what I've talked about is, as I go around the province, is we've got to do this better. And what I've often talked about, and what I've you know, mentioned to a lot of people, because we need to take some of those major pieces of infrastructure that we really need to improve. Things like road work, as you just mentioned, Maxine. We know we can't do all that in 1 year. So what we really need to do is take pieces of it, you know, in every year. Make the commitment to doing the road, in your particular case, over a period of time, but make that commitment so that people understand where this priority is. And so if it's, you know, whatever the number of kilometers would be. And on top of that, the contractors themselves, you know, I think we've had enough of trying to get, you know, major projects started, and here we are in August and September in some cases when the project is just getting started, when indeed what we've lost is a good 3 months in some cases of good construction time. So we need to be able to shift that back so the contractors get certainty, our communities know, and we can plan better. So this is some of the ideas that I've talked about. We need a better planning and a better management mechanism in place so that people can expect, and they know, you know, where it is, you know, in this case, the roadwork fits the priority of government.
Okay, very good. Another big concern for people of Ayr is the hospital in Corner Brook. It's like we know now that things are getting delayed and delayed. What's your take on that?
Well, you know, we were surprised at this government. I mean, we've been hearing announcements of this hospital back in, you know, 2007, and here we are, you know, some, you know, 5-6 years later, and we're still in not even design work planning stages. And then we hear, we know, matter of fact, we've had copies of reports that we just read recently when, you know, the hospital that they talked about is not really the hospital that Western Newfoundland is going to get. And, you know, we're going to have our say about that because we don't think that's right. You know, people were expecting services that is not part of this hospital. So we're going to continue to speak out about this because, you know, they talk about having the right size hospital. Well, we want the right size hospital, but we also want the right services that people deserve in this region. We travel a long ways in this area to seek healthcare services, you know, that we thought and were committed and promised that we would have close to us. You know, it's so, you know, for us, what I'm hearing from this government right now is certainly not the hospital that we heard in an election back a few years ago. We've got to fix that because people deserve those services close to home.
Okay, well, very good. Is there anything else that you would like to
No, it's
talk
been
about?
good. It's been great to be here. We're heading out now. Of course, there's a community dinner that Judy and I and Andrew, and certainly we're going to be talking with people there again. But it's great to see, you know, I was in Stephen last night and just listening to people, you know, in that area that they were waiting to get back to Burgeo, come home in some cases, to come and share in the Sand and Sea Festival here. It's always a great event, and I look forward to coming back in the future too. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing. This is a great service for the people in your community, and I'll certainly be back and be able to enjoy and take part in some of the festivities again tonight. So
Yes,
thank you very much.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for dropping by, and anytime, like you said, you're in town, just drop by.
I will. Appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
This concludes our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.